Scouts Victoria respectfully acknowledges the traditional custodians of the country throughout Victoria where our activities take place today. We pay our respects to elders both past, present and emerging, and continue to recognise and embrace the important continuous history and connection to land and community of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people.
Good morning everyone and welcome to Scout Quest. I'm Tim Whitehead from First Maroondah and I'm a Venturer Scout. Today we're seeing inside the barn at the RSPCA and getting to meet some of the animals and hear their rescue stories. Firstly, I'd love to introduce Emily and Belle from the RSPCA.
Hi there. Hi guys. Welcome to RSPCA Education and Learning. My name's Emily. I have my best friend Chino here with me, which I'll talk about him in just one moment. But we wanted to say thank you for tuning in. We're really looking forward to introducing you to some of our animals. And given that this session is about animal rescue, don't worry, we're going to tell you all about some animal rescue stories because let's face it, that's a big part of what the RSPCA is all about. We're here on this wet and windy day, so we won't stay outside too long. I don't think Chino's going to appreciate that. So let me tell you a little bit about Chino. I hope you can start to guess what kind of breed he might be or what age he might be, but I know we can't communicate right now. So let me tell you about him. Chino came to the RSPCA in 2007 when he was a very, very young dog, and he'd been brought in by a member of the public who had found him roaming around on the street. And they were quite concerned, so they carefully approached him and they looked for some identification. So hopefully you at home might have heard of ID or identification, and that's relating to collar, name tag, and something else called a microchip that only a vet or a council person can use a special piece of equipment to scan for this kind of barcode that some animals have. That's their identification. Now, on that day, this dog didn't have a collar, no tags or anything like that. So that lovely person brought him, it's a bit sleepy. This lovely person brought him to RSPCA in Piersdale. There are a number of RSPCAs around Victoria and of course around Australia as well. And so Chino was brought into RSPCA in Piersdale and the vets there checked him to make sure that he is a healthy dog. Of course, they checked him for that microchip to see if he had identification, but unfortunately not. He was given a behaviour assessment to make sure he was a friendly dog, and then he just had to wait and see if his owners came looking for him. Unfortunately for Chino, no one came looking. And so the RSPCA vets, having decided that he's a healthy and he's a friendly dog at around 2 years old at that time, so you can start to think if he was 2 years old at that time, I wonder how old he is now. I know Michelle's got his photo from back then in 2007 when Chino was in fact in that photo in the adoption centre. So I wonder if you can start to put the pieces together. The vets gave Chino an operation to make sure that he wasn't going to be involved in making any puppies with another dog. And then he went to the adoption centre and guess who came along? Myself and my other dog, Poppy. We were looking for a friend and the RSPCA staff, they matched us up together, and Chino and I have been bestest friends ever since. And because we now work at RSPCA, Chino gets to come along and do classes with me and meet lots of students. So that's why we're here with you today. He's a bit chilly though, guys, so I might need to just take him into the office and pop him back in his bed so we can go and meet some other people and animals. So Jess, while I'm doing that, would you like to tell our friends about the paddocks that are behind me here?
Sure do, Em. So hi everyone, my name's Jess. You'll be able to see me a bit later. So I'm an animal attendant at the RSPCA Burwood with the education animals. So I get to look after these guys. So these are some of our paddocks. So at the moment you can see a little brown goat, that's Elle. She's quite a tiny little thing, but she is 2 years old. So got our shelter. I can see her head poking out. Oh, that's her brother Mikey, another goat of ours. And then over here, As you can see in that corner, we've got our 2 cows. They absolutely love the goats. That's why they're in the same paddock. So we've got April on the left, who's our Jersey cow, and then we've got Audrey on the right, and she's a Murray Grey. So April is actually a cow that's used for producing milk, and then we've got Audrey, and she's a meat cow. But obviously, they're not going to be used for any of that while they're here, and they'll live here forever, the lucky, lucky little ladies. And then we've also got another paddock. No one's in here at the moment, but they sleep in here at night. So we've got a nice big shelter. You can see there's shelters everywhere. You can see shelters in the back paddocks as well. And so we like to make sure everybody's nice and comfortable and warm. They've got ramps to climb on, so that'll be for the goats, and brushes to scratch on. And we've got another paddock in the back corner as well. And what you can't see on this camera, we've also got another 2 paddocks at the top as well. And we like to rotate everybody every single day, so they get to go in different paddocks, and they absolutely love it. You can see they're quite happy at the moment, even though it's a bit cold. You might not be able to see, we've got some sheep at the back. Some of the animals are hidden. We actually have 5 goats and 5 sheep, but you can't see many of them at the moment because they're a bit cold, so they're hiding in the shelters to keep warm.
I don't blame them, Jess.
Yeah.
It is quite chilly. I know lots of animals love their shelter. So, Jess, if you wouldn't mind following me down to the barn, because, of course, we get to hear more about you and your job and see your lovely face, and we're going to meet some more animals down there. So let's go. All right. How exciting. I hope you're excited. I wonder if any of you have visited an RSPCA before. I hope you have. This is kind of like a behind the scenes though, so it's a bit different, a bit special. Now, Jess, if you wouldn't mind aiming our camera towards these interesting cages that are outside the barn, and they're joined to the barn and they go round the side of the barn as well. And when we go inside, we'll be able to have another look, and you might be starting to think about what kind of animal might spend some time in that spot. Let's keep going. Round we go, down to the beautiful veggie garden. We love our veggie garden. Now, while we're here though, Jess, looking at these beautiful leafy greens, things like silver beet, things like kale and that we are missing our volunteers, our beautiful volunteer Robin, who tends to our garden normally, but of course in COVID times it's a bit tricky managing our volunteers and people on site. So we miss you, Robin. We hope you can come back soon to manage this beautiful garden. So Jess, what we might do is in a moment, I'm going to hand the camera, you're going to hand the camera to me and I'll film you. However, just while we're at the front of the barn and looking at this glorious building, I'd like to let you know that this building has been here for nearly 20 years. It was built in 2002 with our RSPCA Education Centre in Burwood East, and that was with the help of our lovely supporters Stephen and Lynn Sedgman. So we're so grateful to have lots of students coming through here each year, normally excursions, incursions, short courses, all kinds of things. But luckily for us, we get to invite you inside today in a virtual sense. So Jess, I'll take the camera and you can tell us a little bit about yourself and your barn. Would you like to head on in?
Yes, hi everybody.
There she is.
Come on through to the barn.
Much nicer to see your face. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is where I work. So I have the wonderful job of looking after the education animals. So as you got to see before, we've got the cows, we've got the goats. You may have been able to see the sheep, they're a bit further away. We've also got horses. And then we've got the smaller animals, which you'll get to meet today. We've got cats, rabbits, guinea pigs, and chickens as well. So my job is to feed them, lots and lots of cleaning, make sure everyone is healthy and happy, health checks and whatnot. So a lot of animals to look after, and I absolutely love it.
That does sound like a lot of animals, Jess. Now, prior to coming to the RSPCA, though, you've had some experience with some different animals, so not farm animals or pet animals.
Yeah, that's right. So just before I worked at the RSPCA, I was working at the aquarium. So I looked after the penguins there. So that was a pretty amazing job. So the little mantoos and the big king penguins. They look like emperor penguins, so got to look after them for a while. And then before that, I was also at the zoo, so I worked with a variety of animals. So I had I looked after the elephants for a bit, and I also looked after education animals with different species. It was like reptiles, so snakes and lizards, and we also had potoroos and the little marsupials and kangaroos and koalas. So I got to look after them too. And then before that, I was also at the RSPCA, but in a different department as well, called admissions.
Wow. Now, you have such a breadth of experience. I'm sure there's lots of people at home just feeling a tiny bit jealous that you've got to spend all this time. But what a wonderful experience that you've had and that you can bring to the RSPCA. So just behind you though, Jess, some people might have started to see there is an animal that's kind of trying to want a bit of attention. So I'm just going to quickly move over. Just this one here. This is Wanda trying to claim attention. Wanda is one of our education cats, and if we've got a little bit of time, I can talk to you about Wanda's story. But you remember outside the barn, we were looking at an enclosure that joins to the barn. This is our cat enclosure. So you might see the little window over there. That's where the cats can come in, and there's lots of spots that they can go. And while they are in the barn, they can have a nice time. They can express their natural behaviours and also get fresh air. And then at night time, they can have a little bit of a sleep in here, and Wanda's in there, as we can see. Now, Jess, if the cats are not in the barn, where would they be?
So the cats, our other two cats aren't in the barn, so they're actually in the education office. So Wanda, she's trying to run around and get attention from us. She's not usually down here on her own during the day. This is just for the class, and the second it finishes, she's back up in the office with her two boyfriends, Alfie and Archie, and they absolutely adore each other, and they sleep down here at night. So they get to play. They love to help people on the computers by walking on the keyboards and such. So they're little office helpers, so they get a lot of human interaction all day long.
That's so important for cats, isn't it? And they've all come from different rescue stories. So we have Wanda, who's come through with our inspectors, who are like animal police, when her and her friends and family of cats weren't being cared for well. And then we've got Alfie. I'll just show you the pictures while we're over here. So we've seen Wanda down there. Hello, gorgeous Wanda. She's a very lucky girl. And over here we've got Alfie's picture and Archie's picture. Alfie was a surrendered cat, which means that his owners weren't able to care for him anymore, and they gave him up to RSPCA. And what about Archie, Jess? How did Archie come in?
He came in quite a while ago, Em. How long ago was it now?
Oh, like so many years.
Oh, about 14, 15 years ago.
Long time.
Long time. So before my time, I think.
Sure. I see. My recollection, Jess, is that Archie was a stray
That's what
cat.
I thought, yes.
Yes, but we are so happy to have all of our cats here and participating in education programs. Who would you like to introduce us to first, though?
I think I would like to introduce you to the guinea pigs.
Fantastic.
First.
I'll follow you.
Our beautiful little guinea friends, which I think you guys will absolutely love, and you'll love their guinea pig setup. They're pretty lucky. They live in such a gorgeous little pen. So we have 8 guinea pigs. I feel like some are hiding. Like, I don't know if you can see Lacey in the corner here. So they have this big pen that they live in that gets cleaned regularly. We give them lots of little hides to make, because guinea pigs being a prey species, which means that they get eaten by other animals, they like to feel safe and secure and hide. So you can see they live in absolute luxury. They got beds everywhere. A lot of people don't realise this, but guinea pigs have blankets and pillows and beds. And one of our guinea pigs, we have a little cage there. That's for Lacey, because she's our old guinea pig, and she's 7 years old, so she struggles to keep weight on. I guess if you compared her to a human, she'd be in her 90s. So she's quite old. So I've given her in a little cage, a little pillow and a blanket, and she loves to curl up underneath here.
And so she stays in there sometimes.
Yeah, just overnight, so she gets extra food and the others don't steal it from her, because you can see they're quite plump. So we don't worry about their weight.
That's okay. Now, you're going to head in there for us, Jess, aren't you? And we're going to get a bit of a closer look at our beautiful friends. and have a bit of a chat about what they need. And some of you might be at home going, oh, I've got guinea pigs, or I might have had guinea pigs before. So we can hear about them. Oh, now I'm best off just staying out here because I don't want to frighten our little friends. Now let's see if we can get a good angle on you, Jess. All right, beautiful. So here we are in the guinea pig enclosure. Who is next to you there? Oh, just come out. We'd love to hear about our friends here, hi, and what they need, what kinds of things we need to do for guinea pigs.
Yeah, so this is my friend Sprout, who's come over here. Good girl, Sprout. So guinea pigs, they need, well, I guess we'll talk about their diet first. So guinea pigs mainly need, most of their diet should be grass and hay. So there's a lot of people that think because of pet shop food, they should be mainly getting grains. That's actually not true, because if they lived in the wild, they'd be eating a lot of herbs and grasses. So majority of their diet just needs to be hay. Then the next part is veggies and fruit. So leafy greens are always best, and only a small amounts as well. They don't need a whole lot of veggies because you don't want them putting on too much weight. As you can see, they're all very excited. We don't give these guys too much this time of year because they maintain their weight very well when it gets warmer. So that would be the main source of their diets as well. And you want to make sure that they get food that's high in vitamin C, because they can't produce their own vitamin C. So we need to make sure they're nice and healthy. And you want to make sure they got nice dry bedding as well. So they have, you know, don't get any health issues, because some guinea pigs can get sore feet if they're constantly walking on wet bedding. So guinea pigs are really dirty. So they like to poo everywhere. And guinea pigs will, because they got such short little feet and they walk on their poo, and you need to change their water regularly because they'll step, hello Curtis, they'll step, you've been a good boy. They step on their water bowls, and sometimes they have poo on their hands, that's how they get poo in their water. So they're actually quite messy little things.
Aren't you messy, Curtis? He went, oh, there's a cupboard there. Right, yeah, it sounds like they're a fair bit of work. So cleaning is a huge part of looking after small animals, isn't it?
It is. A lot of people think, oh, they're small, so they're easy, which I say, no, that's not the case, because every animal has special needs you need to research and look after, and they are very messy. Most animals are, especially guinea pigs, because they just poo and wee absolutely everywhere. So you want to make sure that it's nice and clean for them, because you don't want them getting any health issues as well. So these guys, we clean their pen very regularly because they make quite a mess of it too.
I can also see, Jess, in their pen, there's lots of interesting things, and hopefully at home you're starting to think about, all right, well, why do we have this random pipe in here? Or you might be thinking, oh, I think Brock's giving it away, actually, what the point of all of these things are. So just while they're having a look, what have you provided there? It looks to me like some kind of biscuit box. Are they eating biscuits?
No. I think that wouldn't be great for the guinea pigs. So Brock stole the box from me. I actually wasn't anything to take it away. So this is what we call enrichment, and it's important for all animals to get enrichment. So that's like activities for them to do, things that get their brains thinking, that's fun and interesting, because you don't want them sitting there doing nothing all day. Because imagine if you were in a cage and you sat there and you had nothing to do, you'd be quite bored. So we don't want our guinea pigs to be bored. So we give them enrichment. And an example of enrichment, say, a lot of you might have dogs and cats, you play with toys or you take them on walks. So for guinea pigs, when we clean the pens, we move items around, like their tunnels that they run through and their hides. And what Brock's got at the moment is an enrichment I made for him. So I call that an enrichment box. So it's just any cardboard box, because it's safe for them to chew on it. So you've got to make sure it's not something that makes them sick. And I've jammed it with veggies that he loves. And he's trying to get it all out, because Brock's a bit of a pig out of everyone. He eats the most. So that way you can, and I put another little box down here, and they're really excited and they have to work for it, because they're wanting you can see Sprout's trying to take the whole thing with her. So I've made it a bit more difficult, so they have to like work for it. And Lacey is trying to steal a whole toilet roll full of veggies as well. So that way they get a reward for working hard trying to get these items out. So it's super important for every single animal. And you can just Google it, just research what they need, because everybody, might need something different compared to other
do you know,
animals.
Jess, it's fantastic. So normally, there is plenty of information online about looking after animals, but these guys might like to go to the Aware website, which is the RSPCA Aware Educational Resource Library, and there's so much information on there about how to look after pets, including guinea pigs. So if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about how to provide the best for guinea pigs, that is a good spot to go.
And it's really good quality information that you can trust as well, because there's a lot of different information. It could be quite confusing. So the Aware site is really good to get the correct information that's really good for all your animals.
So important. Now, Jess, summer's coming up. We wouldn't know it by a day like today. It's a bit chilly and rainy, but people might have small animals at home. Do you have any tips? These animals here, they live in a barn, so I would imagine it would get quite warm in here.
It does, yes, it does get quite warm. So we have coolers on to keep them cool, and we also do, which I highly recommend for your little animals like these guys, we have frozen water bottles we put in, so they can lick the water that's melting, the icy water, off the water bottle, or they can lie against it. But also there are just some times where it just gets too hot in the barn and it's too hot for them to stay in here. And on those days, we take them up to the education building so they can be under air conditioning. Because rabbits and guinea pigs, little animals like these, they can't regulate their body temperature. So they get really hot, and people don't realise that they actually don't like to that they can't keep cool outside if they're in a cage all day long. They might need to come inside. So at home, a nice spot, an easy spot to set them up is either in your bathroom or in the laundry, so they can lie on tiles to keep cool as well. Because we do get issues where people will call us in summer and say that their rabbits or guinea pigs have died because they got too hot. So that's an easy way to keep them cool. Bring them inside. They don't need to be outside. I know a lot of people think they do, but they actually do love being indoors. So you can set them up inside on like nice cool tiles to keep them nice and cool.
Fantastic. That's great advice, Jess. So these guys here, they have a lot of space. I can see lots of room to move. They can do their natural guinea pig behaviours, as we can see. We've got hides for them as well. Why is it important for an animal like a guinea pig to have places to hide?
Well, because guinea pigs are like prey species, so they're constantly having to, it's their natural instinct to constantly be looking out for predators, for animals that might eat them. Sometimes they think that humans can be a predator, so they can be a bit scared. So if they have like little hides, they feel secure. If I got rid of all these little areas that they're hiding in, for example, Clover's just gone in one. If I got rid of them all the guinea pigs would be very, very scared. They wouldn't feel safe. And so that way they feel nice, secure, safe. And if they hear anything scary, they can hide. If they want to sleep, they can go in there and feel nice and safe. So it's really important for animals like them to feel safe as well. So that's why we got many hides in there, many places for them to go.
So, Jess, before we go and meet our beautiful bunnies, I'd like to know from you how guinea pigs come to the RSPCA.
Yeah, so we do get a few guinea pigs that come into the RSPCA, and most of them will be surrenders. So there'll be people who didn't realise what they were taking on, and or they realise they can't give them the care that they should, that they need. So they bring them in saying, I can't look after them anymore. Can you please rehome them? So we get a lot, mostly through surrenders. Sometimes, sadly, we do get people that find them. They'll usually find them in a box on the street. Not too often though. Most people do the right thing and bring them in. And we'd rather people bring them in if they know they can't care for them than keep them. So then that way we de-sex them and rehome them. So we do get them every now and then. It's mainly because people don't realise what guinea pigs need, and then they get them and then they realise, oh, I don't think I can give them all the food and the care that they need, or they're too much for them, and so then they end up here. And then we keep some of them for the education program. They live here permanently.
Oh, well, these guys are so lucky, and they're not going to be having babies together because they have had that desexing operation, which is so important. We couldn't look after too many.
No, exactly. They breed very well, so we don't want lots and lots of babies. I think there's enough guinea pigs at the moment, so we don't need to create more. There's no need.
Well, thank you for talking to us a little bit more about guinea pigs, and I've really enjoyed keeping my eyes on them and seeing the activities that they get up to and the interactions that they're having together. Jess, as we start to move over to our rabbit area, you might tell us a few things to look out for with our guinea pigs, any kind of common health issues. You've mentioned about being careful in the heat, so they can become sick in the heat. Anything else that people at home could look out for with their own guinea pigs that might mean they need a vet?
So I recommend with your guinea pigs, keeping it, maybe health checking them yourself once a week or once every 2 weeks, and have a good look all over. A common issue with guinea pigs is they can get grass seeds, and it can be hard to see. They can go in their ears or in their eyes. So it's important to have a look at your guinea pig. Feel them all over for any lumps and bumps, because guinea pigs are really good at hiding when they're sick or when they're in pain. So it's really good to keep a close eye on them. Another thing for guinea pigs is, if you can, or with an adult to give you a hand, checking their teeth. A lot of people forget that that can be an issue, and if their teeth can grow too fast, or they can grow crooked, or they can break. So if that happens and they can't eat and they lose a lot of weight because you can't really see it, you might need to lift up their mouths and just to have a look. So that's really important to keep an eye out.
And if you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure that we can do that here, that's something that you might speak to your vet about, so that they can keep a track of that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this looks very interesting. So we're moving over to another enclosure in the barn with some of our other very famous friends. We love these friends, and let's just have a brief look and see what Jess is doing. She's offering them. Oh, hello. All right, so I'll just have a bit of a look and see who's here. This is also quite a large enclosure. I'm used to seeing lots of smaller pets living in small accommodation or small enclosures. But yes, hello, chooks. But this enclosure is very big. So once again, the rabbits can move around and exercise. They can stand up too, because it is important. We can see over there, you can see Honey Bun who's sitting down, but it is important for her to be able to stand up and stretch out her back as well. So when we're thinking about enclosures for rabbits, we need to make sure that they're able to do that as well. So I can see we've got Honey Bun who's down here eating. Jess, who has tucked themselves away in this little, or this large framework, this hotel? It looks like a bunny hotel over there.
Yeah, so we've got, are you coming out, Sugar Bun? So that's Sugar Bun. Here you go. Oh, good girl.
Oh, hello, Sugar Bun.
I've got little treats for you. Do you want to play with the ball? So that's Sugar Bun. So because rabbits like to climb, they like to get up high. She was just up in the tower. She can watch everything. She can run up and down. It's really good exercise. And because as you all mostly know, rabbits like jumping and hopping. So we like to create opportunities for them to jump and hop. So we had a beautiful group make this tower for us, and they absolutely love it. I'll hop out so they're more comfortable having
That's a great idea.
a snack.
So let's have a look around the rabbit enclosure. I can see that there's a litter box here, and something that unfortunately guinea pigs can't learn to do is have a special spot for toileting. So rabbits, we can teach them to go to the toilet in a litter tray, just like cats can do that. Rabbits do like to toilet away from their eating and sleeping and living area. So tucking it away is a nice idea. And they've got some lovely, is it hay or straw in that one, Jess?
So that's straw. So that's some of their bedding. So I think it had a bit of poop on it. So my volunteers have put it in the litter tray to encourage them to use it, because rabbits like to poo in the same spot, which is very, very handy for cleaning as well.
That does
Much
make it easier,
cleaner than
doesn't
guinea
it?
pigs, yeah.
All right, so we've got sugar bun here, honey bun at the back, and then who's feeling a little bit shy back there?
So that's Poppy Bun. So she just got chased by Honey Bun then. So Honey Bun is one of the bosses. I think Sugar Bun's trying to prove she's the boss these days, but she's just told Poppy Bun off, saying, no, this is my treat ball. I'm eating that. So Poppy Bun's just gone around the corner to hide, and then she'll sneak back out. So Poppy Bun sadly is at the very bottom of the pecking order. But when there's no food around, these guys absolutely love each other. It's a massive cuddle fest, and they're always grooming each other. So they're actually best friends. It's just Honey is just a bit of a greedy guts and likes to say, no, Poppy, I'm getting that. But usually at feeding time, we actually separate Honey Bun. Here she goes. She's like, no, Sugar, that's mine. But I think Sugar's good at standing up for herself, so she doesn't really care. But we usually separate Honey Bun at breakfast and dinner time, just so Poppy Bun can eat in peace and not worry about Honey chasing her, and also stop Honey Bun eating everything, because if she had it her way, all the food would be hers, and we don't want her putting on lots of weight.
Well, I understand that, Jess. I mean, I get a little bit funny if a bag of chocolates comes out.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit less friendly than normal.
Yeah, I'm the same. I won't share my pizza. So I think we can all relate to Honey Bun in some way.
Absolutely. So, Jess, looking after rabbits, is it different to looking after guinea pigs?
Yeah, it is. Like, there's similarities, but you also got to think about their needs as well. So like rabbits, they need a lot of exercise. Like the guinea pigs, we've given the opportunity to exercise with a large pen, but rabbits love running and hopping around. So with these guys, they don't just stay in their pen, because as you can see, they can run around, but we also do take them for walks. Or if your backyard is safe for them, like if it's fox-proof and they can't dig out, you can let them in your backyard. Or what we do, because we don't want them to run off on us, we put them on a harness.
I think actually Michelle, who's helping us with this session today, might have a video of Sugar Bun on the harness. I wonder.
Because they can get a bit scared of predators. So that pen, they love it and they run. So that's really important for rabbits, to make sure that they have the room to run around. So some people have them just in a cage all day long. It's actually not really good for them. They need to be able to, it's not normal behavior for them. So they need to be able to hop and run as well. And then they have similar issues where you need to look out for, like keep an eye on their teeth, make sure they got no grass seeds or anything like that. Oh, and also another thing that rabbits have is it's called cicatrophs. So it's a good idea for rabbits and guineas to keep an eye on their poo. So rabbits produce cicatrophs, and these are little poos you shouldn't really see. They eat them. I know it sounds
Hang on a minute. Did you just say that the rabbits eat their poo?
They do, and it's actually a normal behavior. They should eat their poo. So there's these special, they don't look like their normal poo. It's all mushed together and it's all really round and it's really gross, and they eat them in secret. So that
there's a bunny eating it too.
Yeah. So it's a bit gross, but it keeps their gut healthy. But if you do see them, then you should go call your vet or take your rabbit to your vet.
Those mushy poos.
The mushy poos, because you shouldn't see them. But in saying that, Honey Bun, who's on your camera right now, she's a weirdo. She produces them, and sometimes she doesn't eat them. So we were concerned, because we're like, we should not be seeing that, and it's only hers that we see. So we got the vet, and luckily they said nothing's wrong with her. She's just weird. That's just her. She's still really healthy and doing fine. But if it was another bunny, then maybe it was a concern, but that's just her. She's just lazy, sometimes eats it, sometimes doesn't. It's a bit gross.
So I think that's an important message there is, though, Jess, that you and your staff saw the behaviour that was a little bit concerning to you. You saw those mushy poos that were getting stuck to her, having to wash her bottom a lot, and thought, hang on a second, let's go and seek the vet's advice.
Yeah, and then so once we knew that was really good, and we also have to make sure we clean the pen, like she likes to do them on the hides and the tower, so to make sure we scrape them clean so she doesn't get stuck to her feet as well.
Wow, it does sound like these guys are a little bit more work than what I had first thought.
Yeah, they really are. So I wouldn't say that they're easy pets at all. There's a misconception, and I feel like just like cats and dogs, you want them to be happy and run around and have a lot of freedom and take care of them. So they are a lot of work too.
Absolutely.
But worth it. They're beautiful.
Worth it. They are so gorgeous. Now, I understand that there might be another kind of animal that we're going to meet while we're here today. And some people at home might have been able to hear some of the noises that this... I'm just listening. Oh, it stopped now. Some favourite animals, in fact. Now, Jess, who was just making that noise next to the rabbits?
So that'll be our chickens. I have a feeling I know who it is as well. So we brought some of our chickens inside the barn just because of the weather. They don't normally live in here, but we've also found that them coming into the barn is a kind of enrichment as well. So they actually love being in this pen because it's got really soft bedding. So they kick around and they dust bathe and they have so much fun. I had everyone in here yesterday for a few hours, and oh my goodness, the amount of fun they were having just kicking it, dust bathing. So the reason, hopefully, oh, here we go. I think Taylor Swift might be able to do it in a sec. There we go. So it's very cute. And sometimes it can look like, you might be like, oh no, sometimes they're on my chicken, they're on their side and they're kicking away. So that's actually a natural behavior for them. And it's very important for chickens to be able to do that. And that's because they are kicking away mites and such. So that's the way of grooming themselves. Even though it looks like they're getting dirty, it's a way for them to get rid of parasites. So it's really cute, and sometimes you'll see them dust bathe and they'll oh, Lady Gaga, so chatty.
I'm loving these names too, Jess, as I'm meeting these chooks.
Come on, beautifuls.
Wow. This is just like how I provide entertainment for my dogs. So treat balls, treat boxes, very similar to other animals. And this is pretty much the same as what you gave to the rabbit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very similar. So another thing you could do, like you can get more creative with the chickens, and you can also give them like biscuits as well, and bread, but not much. Like that's a very small amount of a treat you'd give them. Veggies obviously a much more a healthier option. I've also put some poultry seed in that box for them, but they do like some cake and biscuits as well.
Oh,
so
yes.
But mainly I would go for their poultry seed and veggies. You can also put them in water bottles, or you could hang the veggies up as well, and they like to peck at it and try to pull it down. So I think, oh, she did have it. They're fighting over a piece of silver beet. Here we go. They're coming over. So it's really good, just like rabbits and guinea pigs. It's really good for having enrichment. Chickens are really smart. A lot of people don't realise that. So it's really good to have them search for food. It's really entertaining. There's actually studies that prove if you put a bowl of food down, and then if you grab a handful of that food and just throw it around the backyard, they're going to pick the food that you've thrown on the backyard than what's in the bowl, because it's not a natural behavior for them to just eat what's in front of them. They need to search for it. So it's actually more fun for them if you scatter food, or like with toys, having them to work for it. And they're really clever apparently, which I'm going to try and work to do. You can teach them target training, which is like you can put like a stick down, or you can point something going touch, and they'll put their beak there and touch it. So I'm planning on doing that with them. They're actually really smart. They can do tricks just like cats and dogs.
Wow.
So they're actually quite amazing.
Very amazing. Now, I'm wondering, Jess, so how do chooks come to the RSPCA? I can see that there are many types of chooks here. They look quite different from one another. Do you find that they're coming in as stray chooks?
We do sometimes get them as stray chooks. I think most of them come in as surrenders, or sometimes they'll be inspector cases as well. So we have Hennifer, who is a typical chicken you'd see everywhere called an Isa Brown, and she came in as a stray. And then we've got Rihanna, who's right there. I think Rihanna was a surrender as well. So she's an Australop. And then we've got Lady Gaga. I always forget. I'm very terrible at what her breed is. I know it's super fancy. It starts with a C, but for some reason I always forget it. So she's like a show chicken.
Is this that one over there?
Oh, she's the one right here.
Sorry.
So she's got the teeniest little head and the plumpest little bottom. So she's a show fancy chicken. So she came in, it was a surprise as a stray because she's so fancy for a chicken. Oh, there she goes. So she's just kicking around looking for food. Then we've got Taylor Swift. So she's one of our newest additions. And at the back, so she's a silky bantam, and her mother, I'm pretty sure it's her mum, Tina Turner, who's grey at the back. She's hiding a bit.
I'll go and see if I can see them.
She's amazing. She's actually blind in one eye. And those two were inspector cases. So they were chickens. There was a whole bunch of them found in a box in a park. And one was really, really sick. We managed to rehome all the boys that came in, and we kept 4 of the girls, but one of them was actually quite sick and she didn't make it. So it was really sad. So we didn't get to find out who dumped them and whatnot. And then we've got Chili. She's another silky bantam. So she's our oldest. She's been in the program for about 8 years.
Wow.
So absolutely love her. And we have more different breeds outside. So this isn't all our chickens. This is just some due to the weather. So we have some in here, and we've got some other different breeds outside. And we also have a rooster as well named David Peckham. And he loves his silky ladies as well.
Oh, well, they are beautiful, Jess. Now, given that we've been speaking about a few gross things, gross facts, what can you think of with chooks that makes you go, okay, they can be a little bit gross?
Well, I can give you a few gross facts about chickens. I think all animals have a bit of a gross fact with them. But so chickens, as you know, lay eggs. They also like to eat their own eggs, which a lot of people get really grossed out about. And sometimes we will give them their eggs, so we crush them up and give it to them to eat. And everyone's like, ew, why would you do that? That came out of their bodies. That's disgusting. Why do they like eating their eggs? So it's super healthy for them to eat their own egg, because their bodies produce so much energy just to make it. So for them to take it back into their body is actually really good for them, because then they can use that energy from that egg to make another one. Wow. So they love that. Also, chickens can be a little bit carnivorous. It's really gross. So sometimes if we get a chicken that has an injury, we might have to separate it from the other chickens, because we find they'll peck at the wound as well. So they can do that. It doesn't happen often here because our chickens don't really get injuries, but also they have other things to do than pecking at their friends. And the reason I say that is because you'll find that chickens that are in caged farms, which is really, really sad, and they're in small cages and they can't really move and they have nothing to do, they start to peck at their friends.
Boredom,
because they're bored, and they'll create wounds on other chickens. So they just do that because they're bored. So it's a bit gross as well. And did you know that chickens are omnivores? So that means they eat vegetables, and like they eat like plants, which is like vegetarians, but omnivores, they also eat meat. So there's insects and such. But last week, my volunteers found the chickens playing with a dead mouse. And they can eat mice as well, which is very gross. And
well, Jess, on that point, I might see if our friend Michelle might be able to show that now, and you won't be able to hear us while that's going. So we'll see if that can. Wow. So, Jess, just for those people that were watching that at home, what were they seeing there?
Yeah, so my volunteers were quite disturbed by that because they didn't really know what they were watching. And then I went, oh my God, I know what that is. So I don't get to see it too often. I feel like they just don't do it in front of me. But that's actually called like tiggy. So chickens actually do play. They even demonstrate this behavior as little babies, as little chicks, a few days old. They'll find something and you'll see they're not eating it. Like for that example, they weren't actually eating that mouse that they found, that dead mouse. So what that chicken was doing is going, look what I've got, look what I've got, come get it. And they run away and they make little burp, 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 burp noises to get them to chase them. And I've seen it only once before with ours, where one of our little silkies had a worm and it was a massive worm. And instead of eating it, she was just running around and they played tiggy. And then you'll find if you Google it and look up stuff on YouTube, there's more of like there's one of this chicken that found a cricket and it was running around, it dropped it, and then another one picked it up and it didn't eat it, it ran as well. So they
could eat it, couldn't they?
They could eat it, but they're choosing not to because they want everyone to chase them. So it's really cute.
That sounds like heaps of chook fun, actually. I think it sounds like these chooks have a pretty fun life. Now, Jess, you have put a different chook. This chook looks quite different from the others, and you've just kept her a little bit separate for a time. And I'll see if she'll let me sneak in here as well. She's like, oh, Jess, you've got something. I know you've got something for me. Who is this friend that you've got in here?
So this is my friend Caspar. Everybody, I think she's almost everyone's favourite. So she does live with the other chickens, but we have to separate her at feeding time because Caspar is a meat breed. So Caspar actually, they don't live that long. So she's actually really lucky to be here because she's bred. You can see her body shape and her chest. I'm going to show everyone your chunky chest. So she's bred to eat. So this is the chickens that we eat. So Caspar's separated because she's bred to eat. Genetically, like she's made to want to always be hungry. So we separate Caspar because she will eat everything, and even if her body was telling her, no, I'm full, she will just keep eating. So we do it for her sake so she doesn't get sick, and then she goes back with everyone during the day and she absolutely loves them. We love Caspar. As you can see, she's so obsessed with food.
Yeah.
And she's actually a bit cuddle monster. She follows us like a dog. I call her like our little border collie, cross beagle. So she just loves food. So our other animal attendant that works here, Natalie, came up with this brilliant idea. She's made Caspar this slow feeding tray. So it's a bread box that holds bread with the board underneath. And this way, so we don't feed Caspar. And some of you might do this with your dogs at home. I do with my dog. He's a greedy guts. So the slow feeder stops Caspar from eating it all in one go because then it's gone. And she's like, oh, I still want food. And it makes her unhappy. So this makes her have food for longer. And hopefully she won't snatch this out of my hand. She's done this a few times. Caspar, are you ready? So Cass is actually only about 10 months old. So she's actually quite a young little lady.
She knows what you're doing. She's like, oh, I'm ready for this.
So there we go. So Caspar came into the RSPCA as a chick, a very, very sick chick. And we think because, believe it or not, like, even though she's amazing, we love her, people don't have them as pets because they're bred specifically for meat. So Caspar's really lucky to end up here. We think she fell off a truck and that's how she ended up here. So she was meant to be going to a farm to be bred for meat. We didn't know she was a meat chicken at the time. She was a very tiny little thing. And then when I was watching her after a few weeks and she just ate everything and she was growing so fast, I'm like, oh goodness, what am I dealing with here? And then we realized she was a meat chicken because she was growing so big. And then we realized, okay, we're going to have to feed her differently because she's going to make herself really sick. So she's on a strict diet. She loves this breadboard. All I have to do is pick it up and she'll walk right next to me the whole time. I didn't catch her to bring her into the barn. She just followed me this morning. She's like, yep, wherever that breadboard goes, I go. And when she's done with her food, she actually loves cuddles. Like we adore Caspar. And Caspar is actually, I think the term pecking order came from chickens because they have a pecking order. And So with all chickens, you got one that's at the very top, that's the boss, that picks on everyone. They get all the good food first, and then Caspar's at the bottom. So believe it or not, so everyone picks on Caspar, and she's the biggest chicken there. But she's just a soft soul. She's a beautiful, beautiful little chickie. So so that way we separate her, no one picks on her, and she doesn't eat everything, and she'll go back with everyone later.
Oh, she is a delight, Jess. And so normally you would refer to this kind of chook as a broiler hen. So Jess was mentioning meat chooks. We have layer hens, which are those brown coloured hens. Eyes are browns, often are used in farms for laying because they're very good at laying eggs, lots of eggs. And we have broiler hens that, as Jess mentioned, are raised for meat. And as we can tell, Caspar is quite a chunky hen.
Yes.
So she would have quite a lot of meat, I am sure. We are going to head over to our class area because I'd like to just share with you something over there, and then it's going to be question time. So hopefully we've got lots of questions that we've got prepared. All right, over we go. Thank you, Jess, for introducing us to Caspar and to the other beautiful hens as well. So over we go over here, over to the class area. Now, it's very lovely, interesting display here that Belinda's put together. So we've got some life-size chooks here. Obviously not real chooks. They're lovely plush hens. But it's really good to see the kind of size that we're dealing with, because over here we have obtained from a caged egg farm an actual battery cage. Now, you can see that cage behind the chook there. This is what would be used in a battery hen farm. So when we have we're buying our eggs, we can see sometimes the wording on there says caged eggs, and what that means is the chooks are living in a cage like this. Jess, would it just be like the one chook living in that area?
No, so you'd have several chooks in that area, so you can imagine how cramped it would be and really uncomfortable. And you can imagine if you lived, say, with your siblings or your friends every day and night in a small area where you can't really move, you can't really flap your wings, you'd be quite sad and quite stressed as well.
It's pretty uncomfortable as well, but there are things we can do. We don't need to buy caged eggs. There are other options for us. There are free-range eggs. There are barn-laid eggs as well that we can find. And I wonder, when you're shopping, you might also look for eggs with the RSPCA logo on them, because what that means is that RSPCA inspectors go and look at those farms and talk to the producers, and there are special standards that are above what the average or normal standard is according to the law. So there are some things that we can do to improve the lives of production animals. Similarly, we met Caspar, our broiler hen over there that would have been going to a meat farm. There are also RSPCA approved chicken meats that you can have a look for in your supermarkets or your butchers. You can have a look, and again, that just means that those farms are abiding by RSPCA standards rather than just what is required by law. So I think we've come to the end of our presentation, and we're really looking forward to hearing from you guys. I wonder what we can. I might put my camera on your face, Jess, just because it's nicer than looking at the laptop.
Thank you very much, guys. That was fantastic. I'm sure everyone at home really enjoyed the session. Our first question today comes from Stella. Do either of you have turtles at home?
Oh, great question, Stella. Turtles. Now, I know turtles do sometimes come to the RSPCA.
They do. When I worked in the admissions department years ago, I did get some turtles in, and I remember I didn't know much when I started, and I know a bit more now about turtles. So that's the only experience I've had with them. I know that they can live, I think, about 10 years, am I right? Or could it be a bit longer? Yeah, they're quite curious, and they're very, very cute. And you can also take them for walks as well. I know you can do that in your backyard, which is great exercise for them. So it's important for them to have access to water. They don't sleep in water. They don't breathe underwater. So that for them to have water and land and a heat lamp, and there's so many things, and different types of food. So I highly recommend if you want a turtle, they're amazing, but they can be a many year commitment, and to look into what they need and do some research, and you can also put them on a harness, take them for walks as well.
That is incredible. So no, I'm sorry, we don't have turtles as pets.
That's awesome. Thank you. Our next one comes from John. How can I make sure my dog doesn't get lonely now that I'm back at school?
What an excellent question, isn't it, Jess? So lots of people have been spending heaps of time with their dogs and cats, and then when we're returning back to school, it can be a little bit lonely for them. So Jess, do you want to take that one?
So I guess a way to prepare for them when they're alone, when you go back to school, is you can make a lot of enrichment toys to keep them entertained. So stuff that would take them a while to play with, kind of like what we've done with treat toys, where it's hidden inside balls and stuff. So they have to work for it to get it. Or if they love squeaky toys, lots and lots of toys as you leave. With my dogs, when I leave, I always give them a treat ball, and they get really excited. They don't care that I'm leaving for work every single day. They're like, hurry up, woman, leave, because I know you're going to give me a treat. So lots of toys, giving them lots of exercise as well, so they're nice and tired when you've gone to school. They don't have all this energy built up. So yeah, lots of toys is a really great way to do it, and enrichment. And is there anything you want to add to that, Em?
Yeah, so things that you can do to get them used to it is leaving the home for short periods of time. So on the weekend, leave the home for short periods of time and then return. And so they get used to the fact that while you're away, they get the fun enrichment, and then you come back. So there's lots of great information out there as well, but I really agree with what you're saying, Jess. As well, on that website, that Aware website, there is a page called Things to Make and Do, and so there are some additional ideas for enrichment that you might provide for dogs and cats.
Thank you. Our next one's from Adrian. How old do I have to be to volunteer at the RSPCA?
What a great question, Adrian. I believe it's 15 years old that you need to be to volunteer at RSPCA, and there's an application process as well, so we can match the right person to the right role.
We've got another one from one of our 6-year-olds. How do chickens lay eggs?
Oh my God, that is such a good question. And I'm not the best at biology, but so chickens have like an oviduct, like humans do, and we produce eggs, the females as well, different to chickens though. So chickens create a lot of energy, and they need a lot of calcium in their bodies to create this egg, and the egg slowly moves down their bodies, and then when they're ready to lay it, when it's nice and hard, they shoot it out. So they don't actually need a rooster to lay an egg. A lot of people think they do. It's like Emily said before, we have laying chickens, so sometimes they lay a lot of eggs. So they don't need to also have a rooster, like they won't have babies without a rooster as well, so they will lay eggs, some of them every day, some of them just seasonally. But yeah, that's a really good question as well.
Something you might find interesting is that the egg and the poo and the wee comes from a same spot.
Everything comes out of the... As you know, humans are different. Not everything comes out of the same area. For chickens, it does. So it's also really important for your chickens to keep an eye on that spot where their poo and their eggs come out, because they can also get issues where they get sick, and they might get an egg stuck, or they might have a pooey bottom, but it all comes out of the same area.
Wow.
How can someone help the RSPCA if they're under 15 years old?
Oh, I'm so glad Dragon Rider 09 has asked that. I'm going to take you over to my posters over here, Jess, because there are so many things you can do even if you're under 15. You can collect blankets and towels and donate them to your local animal shelter. You might ask your vet clinic, maybe they need it too. But if you want to help us, which we would love you to help us, you could definitely collect blankets, towels, newspapers, pet food. Those are things that animal shelters need. And because it's October, it's cupcake month this year. So come with me over to my cupcake posters. You can tell how excited I am about cupcakes. I love cakes so much. So every year when RSPCA runs Cupcake Day, and you can see the beautiful posters there, that means that we're asking people to do some baking. You can bake some cakes or some biscuits if you like. If you're in regional Victoria, you can have some gatherings in the park, which means that you might be able to get some donations from your friends or family for the cupcakes that you've made. But like us in Melbourne, you can still do Cupcake Day virtually. So you might do some baking and plan like a Zoom meeting with your friends and family and talk about how you might be able to make a donation to help us look after all the animals at the RSPCA. Some people are not sure, but we're not a government-run organisation. So we need all the help from the community that we can get. And Cupcake Day is one way that we can get some support from the community. So really good question about how do I help animals at RSPCA, even if I'm not 15. Great question. Let's head back over and see if there's some others.
That's awesome. I'm sure there'll be heaps of people at home who are out there to help. Tate wants to know, do wild animals live at the RSPCA while they're getting better?
Oh, what a great question. All right, Jess, what do you reckon? Wild animals at the RSPCA?
So we do take wild animals in. So all vet clinics around Australia have to take in sick and injured wildlife. So we do get them in, not too much being in Burwood, but some of the more regional areas might get in different marsupials and such. What's really common for us here in Burwood is we get in a lot of possums, and now we're getting up to that wonderful time of year where there's babies everywhere. So we're getting a lot of baby possums as well. And I remember back in my day when I worked at admissions, we remember this time of year, and we got lots of ringtail possums and the brush-tailed possums and baby birds as well. And the reason that is because the ringtail possums and the brush-tailed possums, on windy days, they'll fall off their mums, which is really sad. So somebody's found them, or their mum might have been hit by a car and they found them with their mum, and they might have checked the pouch. And then baby birds, they may have fallen out of the nest, but a lot of the time is some people will, out of kindness, will go, oh, that baby bird's so little, it doesn't have a parent, and they will bring it to a vet clinic and not realise that that bird is actually hasn't fallen out of the nest. It's actually sitting there waiting for its parents. So if you're ever unsure, I recommend keep an eye on it. It might be okay. If it's like all fluffed up, it has all its feathers, it might be natural for them, especially baby magpies. We get a few of them in, and wattle birds and noisy miner babies. They're just waiting for their parents. So it's actually really natural for them. So I would double check and talk to the vet, because sometimes they might go, oh, this is a perfectly healthy bird. Then you can take it back to where you found it, and look out for the parents as well, because they might just be going searching for food as well. So it's we do get wild animals in, and we have to look after them, which is great, and so do all vet clinics. I remember once I got in a little baby joey, a little kangaroo. That was interesting. Didn't stay long. We sent it straight to a wildlife carer, because they're so specialised looking after them as well. So do get a few wild animals in.
Maybe not some of the wild animals people ask me about are tigers and lions and elephants.
That would be cool.
Not for the RSPCA, those ones. Great questions, guys.
We've got one from Natasha. The rabbits that we saw earlier, what breeds are they, and how many breeds of chickens are there?
Oh, good breeds of rabbit and chicken.
Chickens, I don't know how many in total. We have several. Our rabbits, we've got like honey buns are lop-eared, and I think Poppy and Sugar Bun are just domestic rabbits, but Sugar could be mixed with like...
They're all hiding in their special little castle at the moment, so I can't get a good view on them. But yes, we've got Honey Bun, who's the lop-eared.
And then Sugar Bun's Himalayan, like the cats. So she's got really silky, soft fur. So that makes her a little bit different. Poppy's just a general domestic rabbit. So there's very different breeds. So for a lop, Honey Bun's actually quite big. A lot of people want Mini lops is quite common. The issue with mini lops, because they're so adorable, is because they are bred to be small, so they're constantly breeding with genetics that are very close to the family. They can get health issues, and they're bred to get short little tiny noses that are squished up to their face, so they get breathing issues, they get ear issues. I call them the French bulldogs of the rabbit world, because you might see the French bulldogs or any kind of bulldogs, and you hear, and pugs, hear how hard it is for them to breathe, because they've been bred to have those kind of traits. That's not actually good for them. So luckily Honey Bun is not a proper mini lop, so she doesn't have many of those common health issues.
Lucky for Honey, because that is quite difficult, isn't it?
And then we've got our chickie babes. So we've got our 3 silkies. We do have another 4 outside. And then we've got, so they're really fluffy, they're fancy, so they're bred to be cute and fancy. They're very popular fancy chickens. And then we've got Hennifer, whose the eyes are brown, which most people have for laying eggs, because they're the commercial egg-laying chickens, so they lay a lot. And then we've got Rihanna, who is an Australorp. So they can get quite big as well. I've seen big Australorp hens, and they can be big and black eyes. We've also got Lady Gaga, Dust Baby. She's a fancy show chicken. So they're taken to shows and they get awards because they're so pretty and so cute. And we've also got outside, we've got Miley, and she's a leghorn. She looks like Caspar, but she's actually the complete opposite in body shape. She's really skinny, whereas Caspar's really chunky as well. And what else? We've also got Hermione. She's an eyes of brown cross.
Wow.
So she looks like Hennifer, but she has bits of black in her. So you can crossbreed chickens as well.
Can you tell at home how much Jess loves her chickens? I love it. It's beautiful,
I
Jess.
definitely can.
It's so great to hear about how much you love your animals, and that means also that you're taking beautiful care of them, as we can tell by all of your explanations. I think we have one more question.
Yeah, our last question is, how can I give money to the RSPCA, and then how can I help the RSPCA?
Oh, what an excellent question there. So people that want to donate money to RSPCA, we would love your help if you and your family can help us. And that's to do with going to the website. I'm just going to see if I can turn my vision around, or, oh, hello. Oh, Caspar's going to help with this.
Caspar can show you why.
Thank you, Caspar. So great. If you would like to donate to RSPCA, we would love for you to go to rspcavic.org. And that's a place where you can go to find out how to donate and offer money to help us look after all of our beautiful creatures here. And we would love your support. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Emily and Belle, for being here today and sharing all the stories from the RSPCA. I'm definitely never going to look at a rabbit the same knowing it eats its own poo.
I'm glad we found out lots of things today.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you soon.
Thank you, everyone else, for joining us today. And just a quick shout out for the Jamboree. Expressions of interest are now open. AJ 2022 will be held in January 2022 in Elmore, Victoria. Be the first to know when applications open. Visit our website to complete the expression of interest and learn more about the event. Hopefully we see you all on Monday night when we hear from some of our adventurous activities teams and what Scouts of all ages can do. Thank you very much for joining us on this lovely Saturday morning, and see you all on Monday night.